I don't know if anyone is here. I hope this is fixed. Hopefully you guys are still here. I posted the new link on in community under the post for the live chat. I had a lot of technical issues. Hopefully you guys can join in. Let's see. Let me know if you can hear. Can you? Can you hear audio? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think I have like 4 different microphones. I think 2 use the same I don't know, like a port or whatever. So I connected the wrong port and then I had this one. So because I never have audio issues. Okay, good. It's a new link, so I updated it in the post. So hopefully I need to delete the other. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I need to delete the other one. Hang on. I'm so sorry. Delete that one. All right. Oh, thanks, Bethany. I think also the lighting. Thank you, though. Happy Friday. Hi, Regina. Thank you guys for coming back. So sorry about the audio. I worked on everything else and I had the wrong connection. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Bethany. Hi, Regina. Thank you guys for coming back in. All right, we've already lost some time. So I put this chart as preservatives and emulsions because I had gotten so many questions about emulsions, lotions and creams failing, um, the lotion or cream growing mold or something that looked like mucus. So I was like, let me cover this again. I'm not really sure, and I'm just going to share what I do step by step in terms of, and that's what has worked for me the last few years. I can't remember the last time I saw anything weird go on with my formula. So that's why I'm doing preservatives and the emulsions. If you have any questions about what you're struggling with using preservatives in your formulations, put it in the comments, and that way I can answer it as I go along. If you have any problem with your lotions or creams failing or not being stable, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll answer it. But I'll just share what I do. And I'm looking down because I have my little, I can't remember everything. So let me pull up my notes. Wow. And if I sniff a lot, I have horrible allergies today. All right, let me see. I'm just trying to log into my thing here. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm trying to pull up so I don't like forget anything. All right. Regina said, I use Optifen in my butters sometimes. Are you talking about anhydrous or emulsified, Regina? All right. Okay. Yeah, Optifan is fine for anhydrous and water based. All right. So preservatives. So when I first started making products, I started out with, when I did my Google search, I said, "Oh, Google search, what is the best beginner friendly preservative?" And it always came up to Liquid Gemo Plus. So that's what I started out with. I started out with Liquid Gemo Plus because it just was the easiest thing. The usage rate it's very low. But of course, in the EU, European Union, and I believe China, they they have more restrictions on that preservative because it releases formaldehydes, which, quote unquote, there's the thing of it could cause cancer. It seems like almost everything causes cancer these days, but that, because of that issue with it being a formaldehyde releaser, they have more strict regulations in the European Union and China. America, not so much. Now they are trying to enforce it more. So initially, I used to recommend Liquid Gemo Plus for beginner friendly. If you're new, buy that. But I no longer use Liquid Gemo Plus. It's more like, because it has a small percentage of causing, they say hormone disruptor, so many things. So I don't use Liquid Gemo Plus. So if you're trying to choose a preservative, so let me start off first. If you're making any, this is the thing, if you're making any water-based product, you need a preservative. Or any product that has a high chance of getting in contact with water, or what else? So any water-based product, you need a preservative. If you're making a product that there's a high chance that it's going to come in contact with water, like maybe your sugar scrubs, body scrubs, you need a preservative. I personally do not use preservatives in my traditional whipped body butter products. I've gotten so many questions. Well, why don't you? Why don't you? I just do not believe that it needs a preservative. If it only contains oils and butters, it doesn't need one. But you can add one for peace of mind. So what I'm talking about with preservatives, I'm focusing more on products that have like real like high water content or more water content. So like your lotions, creams, your facial serums that are water based, your facial masks that are water based, things like that. So what would I say? So this is what I think happens with preservatives sometimes failing. So I think it's something that's always overlooked, to be honest. And I do see videos sometimes of people formulating, sometimes on TikTok. I run across some businesses or people doing their own DIYs. The thing is, you have to start off on the best, what's the word? The best, I'm trying to find the words. Is it that I'm half asleep? You have to start off on the cleanest, plate possible. I don't know the word, but you have to clean, sanitize. I know people say, "Oh, we sprayed, we cleaned, we used the disinfecting wipes." Okay, agreed. So this is what I've seen a lot of people do, right? I see some people spray rubbing alcohol. Okay, let me start. So preservatives, if you're making any water-based product, like I said, let's start off with the cleanest possible surface, your tools, your containers, everything. Me, I'm sharing what works for me. I'm doing this is over 5 years now, and this is what I do. Before I even start pulling ingredients or anything like that, the first thing I do is I spray my surface, what I'm going to be working on, all my tools, my beakers, even though they've already been disinfected or cleaned, I still spray it with rubbing alcohol. I recommend using 70% rubbing alcohol. Why? Because there's 70%, there's 90%, there's 99%. The reason why you want to use 70% is it doesn't evaporate as fast as the 90% or 99%. So when you use the 70% and you spray your beaker, whatever, your jars and your tools, let it sit for some time. Just let it sit This is what I recommend. Either you let it air dry before you use it, or let it sit for a few minutes and then wipe it off. What I see some people do, they spray. As soon as they spray, they wipe it off. It doesn't do anything. You spray it with the rubbing alcohol and then you literally wipe it off right away. The only time that's going to work is maybe if you already used a heavy duty disinfecting tablet like Steramine or bleach. So the jars were already sanitized and put in like an airtight container or something in it. But ideally, if you're using your 70% rubbing alcohol, spray your tools, spray your surfaces, whatever, let it air dry or give it a few minutes, then wipe it off. That will take care of whatever things are there. So once you've gotten that out of the way, now when you're formulating your product, you need to decide, okay, if I'm making a serum, I'm making a facial serum, does it have a lot of, oh, sorry, L. Smith said, no, hi, L. Smith, sorry, I didn't. Should the tools and containers be cleaned in boiling hot water, dry? No, they don't need to be in boiling. So everybody does their sanitization differently. Some people wash all their tools, whatever they're using, beakers, everything. And some people, I've seen some people do like an oven heating process. Obviously, it has to be all glass. It can't be, glass, I guess, stainless steel. Yeah, that's heat safe that you can put in like an oven. I've never done that. I've never had to. If you're using like some people do, like for glass, I know people, but I've never had to do. I don't use that because I don't like boiling hot water. To just be my luck that I pour it on myself. So I don't use that method. But there are people that do boiling like their all their glass things, everything. I guess it's like a form of sterilization. But the reason why I think even in America, when you make cosmetics, it's not even required for the cosmetics to be sterile. But obviously, you want it to be free from contamination, from bacteria, yeast, and mold. But no, you don't need to do that. You can simply just wash. You can use. Some people use hot soapy water. Wash the keys. Wash it very well. You can let it air dry. And what I've used this for the last over 4 years. I used to do like the bleach solution, but I don't like the smell of bleach. I can't stand So I use these Steramine tablets and I get them from Amazon. So all you need is distilled water. You let the tablets dissolve in the water and then you just follow the steps. It's very easy to use. That's what I do. So whenever I've disinfected my beakers and things, like if you look at that, why I don't know where I'm pointing to. Where am I pointing to? I'm trying to point here to beakers and jars right there. Once it's honestly, I would just say use Steramine tablets. That will save you a lot of stress. Honestly, this is what I also heard. I heard this from someone that helped me do my some of my testing. If you wash all your tools and they're clean, like you wash it with hot soapy water, whatever the case is, let it air dry, right? If you don't have Steramine tablets, spray all your tools, your beakers, everything you're going to be using. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. My bottle is kind of beat up now, but I just empty this is my 70%. I buy a ton of these. I have like a whole thing because it's so inexpensive. I just pour it into one of these spray bottles and I just spray. Yeah, I think a lot of times I see so many people doing the most with sanitization. It's not rubbing alcohol will kill pretty much anything if you let it sit in the jars. So okay, we got that out of the way. Once that's clean, so I also all the things I'm going to be touching, my jar, my ingredient containers, my ingredient packs, anything I'm literally going to be touching to make the product, I wipe everything down. I don't really stress. Most times I may spray depending on what it is. Most of my ingredients are either in like containers or packets that can be sprayed. So I also spray that down. So basically, before I even make anything, it takes me at least 30 minutes to just get the spraying stuff done. I wipe all my jars, all my ingredients, the containers. I let it so that way when I change my gloves. Of course, when I make film videos on YouTube, I don't show. It's not. I don't show. It's not realistic. Like I can't show everything. Even though it's going to be a 2-hour video. I change my gloves frequently. I've heard people say, "Oh, I just reuse the same." No, anyway, that's me. I change my glove. If it gets soil or whatever, I change it. Let's see. Okay, I have a question. So let's see. From Pamela. Pamela says, I live in Virginia and it will get around 100 degrees. I want to emulsify my body butter. Is there a proper percentage of emulsifying wax I need to use for higher temperatures? If you're making an emulsified body butter, that's basically just like you're making it very thick cream or lotion, basically. Not necessarily. You just want to either follow most emulsifying waxes will tell you if you're obviously the more you use, the higher percentage you use, the thicker your product will be. So you have to kind of play around with the percentages. It really depends because there are so many different emulsifying waxes. So there's not one universal percentage. But what I've found most when I have a few emulsified body butter videos I've shared here on YouTube. So if you want to see that and see how I put the formulas together. But there's not one proper percentage because they are going to vary. But typically, the higher you use, the thicker it's going to be. But then sometimes it ends up being very waxy. It has like a very weird waxy feeling. So it is something you're going to have to play around and see what works. I've used anywhere from, with just the different waxes I've used anywhere from 5 to 8 across the board, but there are different waxes. So we've gotten all the cleaning stuff out the way. Ingredients are clean. We've wiped everything down. So now this is where I think the problem lies. Why people sometimes your preservatives may not work as well, or it either gets deactivated and the product is not properly preserved. A lot of times you're not mixing properly. Like there are some preservatives that are not very water soluble. Let me just give you an example. Let's just say, I think somebody said earlier on they use Optifen. I think that was Regina. So the thing with Optifen is good, right? It works in both water and oil-based formulations, like anhydrous. So Optifen, some people that have used Optifen like their lotions and creams, they'll say, oh, it thinned out their lotion, yada, yada, yada. But sometimes you have to just keep, either you mix or I want to say maybe, I don't want to say the tool, the equipment. You're welcome, Pamela. Let me say this. I'm trying to organize my presentation. Let's say you're making a water-based product. Let's make it realistic. Let's say you're making a facial serum that contains water, right? And let's start with water-based. Let's say we're making a facial serum with water. I'm curious if you guys have an idea of preservatives. If you're making a facial serum with water, and the facial serum does not contain any oil. A facial serum just contains water, maybe your thickener, your actives, your extracts. What preservative do you think? Name one preservative you think you can use. If you're familiar with preservatives, if you're not, just don't answer. So if you're making a facial serum with water that just is a basic water-based serum, like your hyaluronic acid serum, just something simple, vitamin C serum, nothing crazy, just has simple things, extracts and things like that. So for me, when I make anything like that, I always factor in how soluble is this preservative. Liquid Gemo Plus is fine, but I don't use it anymore. You mean Liquid Gemo Cell? Liquid Gemo Plus? Is that what you mean, Beth? Liquid Gemo Plus is fine. Liquid Gemo Plus will work. I don't use it anymore. I stopped using it. It's probably been about 3 years I stopped using it. But yeah, Liquid Gemo Plus. No, I figured that's what you meant. Liquid Gemo Plus will work. I'm going to name a few here in the chat. If it's just a basic, because a lot of times what I'm saying is, a lot of times I'll get messages, oh, can you recommend a preservative to use for my this moisturizer? I don't know what's in your moisturizer, right? I don't know if you have active ingredients. I don't know if it has a lot of herbal extracts. When you have a lot of plant matter, like a lot of extracts and herbal infused stuff in water-based products. It's just like a breeding ground for bacteria and all the stuff to like just thrive, because it's like food. It's like food for them. So when you use a lot of ingredients that contain those things, a lot of extracts, plant matter, and things like that, you need a really strong preservative. But yeah, liquid Germo Plus will be fine. So for me, this is what I'm recommending now. A lot of preservatives. I always say this is what I'm recommending for. I want to say most products right now. Either Euxil PE. I'm typing it right as I know some people want only natural based preservatives, but hey, I'm just typing it here. That way you can. I hope I'm right. Yeah, 900. Optifan is fine. Optifan is good. Trying to think at the top of my head. T. I had my list before. What else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So my go-to, if you've never bought, if you're able to get Euxil PE 9010, I would say just save your money, buy that, because that preservative is so versatile. It's so versatile. It's, yeah. I would say if I knew this then when I started buying stuff. Yeah, Hyacinth. Hi, Hyacinth. Yes. Yeah. That preservative has never failed me. Now, if you're someone that wants to use natural based preservatives, like I used to use, I have so many things on my table. I used to use Louicidal in the past. You have to do a bit of tweaking. And honestly, most times I had to supplement it with something else. So in the beginning, when I started making products, I was like, oh, it has to be only natural. Euxil K903 is considered natural. When I say natural, it doesn't mean, okay, it's growing from the ground. It's just the ingredients are approved by the organizations that certify natural-based products. Hi, Andrea. So if you're going to get any preservative and you're just starting out, even if you're not just starting out, you just need a good solid preservative. Euxil PE 9010 will be my number 1 to purchase. Optifan number 2, and is a tie between Euxil K900. I also like, yeah. So that's what I just say. Yeah, Euxil K903 is nice. So this is the issue when you have, if you're making Euxil K903 is okay. This is the issue I've noticed when I've seen people send me stuff. They'll send me like a formula. I had someone send me something that it seemed like they had about 20 ingredients there. And I can't remember what the preservative was. I think it was, oh my gosh, they had the preservative as just phenoxyethanol. That was all they had, phenoxyethanol, nothing else. I said, there's no way this is going to be stable. Like, it's going to fail. Phenoxyethanol is not broad spectrum. So Elizabeth, Euxil K903 is broad spectrum, but this is the thing. A lot of times, so for me, I'm going to be very honest. When I formulated my serums with Euxil K903, I think I did ask the person that in the lab. I think I sent like 5 different samples. The ones with Euxil K903, I didn't have any issues with them. Now, do I know if, I couldn't in good faith, like for me, when I used to sell those serums, that particular one, I think I only put the shelf life, I think, as 6 to 9 months. But the funny thing is I have samples from 2 years ago that still look the same. But I think I was just so scared of Euxil K903 not, holding up in that regard. But Euxil P90010, I would say the only thing is you have to be careful when you're formulating with like surfactants. It has like a little fine print, like there are certain surfactants that are not compatible with it, I think. I think usually the surfactants are kind of end in like the F, ETH. I don't use any of those. I tend to stick with, if you're using surfactants like maybe cocoa glucoside, deso glucoside, like you just have to look at the fine print. But for the most part, most of the Euxils will be fine, depends on your formulations. But Euxil PE9010 is probably one of the most popular preservatives. A lot of big brands use that preservative blend. It has a history of just, passing, for preservative efficacy testing. Is going to pass most of the time. It's a very, very effective preservative. And I tested several and I just like, yeah, I'm not going to spend all this money on natural preservatives and they may not work as well. Thanks, Andrea. Oh, thank you. Hi, Mercado. Okay, so we've chosen our preservative. Now, this is where I feel sometimes, especially if you're making emulsions, like your lotions, creams, things like that, not mixing well. And the reason I know this has happened to me. This happened to me, and that's when I knew, yeah, you have to really mix. And you have to really mix. And okay, how do I say this? So this is my thing. If you're making so let me give you an example. I can't remember who said Euxil K903. Or who was that? Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth said Euxil K903. So Euxil K903. So a lot of the Euxil preservatives, they are not very water soluble, right? A lot of them, they tell you mix it in a solvent. So when I say solvent, a solvent is like a thick, viscous liquid, like vegetable glycerin, propanediol. So you want something thick that can help incorporate it. So, for example, I was making a toner. A facial toner is really just water, right? Mostly water-based ingredients. Your water, maybe you use aloe vera juice, hydrosols, you get the gist of it. So if I'm making a toner and I want to use Euxil PE9010 or any of the Euxils, 903, 900, I'm not going to dump the preservative straight into the water or my water phase or all my water-based ingredients. I'm going to first mix my vegetable glycerin and my Euxil first. I'll mix it very well. And it's such a weird, when you see the preservative, it's very interesting. You can actually see it blending in. So once you mix that, then you can add in the rest of your water-based ingredients and mix. The reason also that gives your preservative time to incorporate throughout the whole formula. I think when you look at the finished product or whatever you're making, your serum, your toner, think about how big, let's just say you're making 200, 300 grams of product, whatever the case is. You have to get that preservative through every part of that mixture. So when you think about it that way, you think about it like, if I just mix for 10, 15 seconds, that's not going to do anything, right? It's just like, okay, it's mixed. It's not. And someone told me this, the person I watched her video, she had a preservative video, and she was like, yeah, you have to think about it. Think about like even this is how you have to think about it, and your mindset has to change with formulating. It doesn't matter if you're formulating in a small nook in your house, wherever. Think about those big companies, industrial, they have their industrial, how do you say, like the industrial buildings or whatever, labs, they are big labs, they make all these things. Think about every now and then they have recalls due to contamination, right? That's the people that have all the checks and balances. That's how they know. They do testing. They spend millions on just testing, and they've had to recall. They're making in big batches. So it can happen. It can also happen even if you follow all the steps. But the fact is, I feel like a lot of emulsions that are growing mold. There's a product I made about a month ago. I didn't release it right away. I haven't released it on YouTube yet. I'm going to release it. Hopefully, I'll finish editing it by tomorrow. I made a tallow moisturizer, lotion, cream. I was like, let me test it for 30 days. See if, to prove, and because a lot of times I'll get messages, oh, I made this, and mine after a week, it grew mold. Okay. Mine didn't grow mold, but I want to show, in this video, like, hey, let me show that, hey, after 30 days, this is what my lotion looks. So that it's not like I'm just putting formulas just to put formulas. I have stuff 2, 3 years. I have a basket. I just keep stuff to see how it changes over time. So back to the point I was trying to kind of make. Mixing, trust me, a lot of times like that video might end up being 12, 13 minutes. But that's a video that took me hours to film. Like I mix, I stop, I check it again. Okay, mix, and then, wait the next 24 hours, see how it's stable. It's not just, let me see. Yeah, so mixing is the key. And what I've noticed too, try, if you're making emulsions, just try and invest in a stick blender, a good stick blender. There are some emulsifying waxes. I think Polar Wax might be one of them, where you can use a hand mixer. I haven't used Polar Wax. I could be wrong, but I want to say Polar Wax might be one of them where you can get away with not using a stick blender. But you have the proper equipment and then take the time to mix. It will definitely pay you in the long run. Let's see. Sorry, let me answer this question and I'll go on. The thing with preservatives is to make sure your formula has in, thank you, with chelators and all or other preservative boosters, pentylene glycol, etc. So yeah, sodium, yeah, I didn't want to overdo it. I'm just trying to keep it simple with this one. But yeah, chelating ingredients are a must for sure. Definitely a must. Yeah, definitely a must. So chelating ingredients help with like oxidation, discoloration, setting. I want to say 9 out of 10 times, if you're making, especially with emulsions, any type of emulsion, definitely include it for sure. Sodium phytate is a good. I always use sodium phytate for mine. I haven't used pentylene glycol, but I haven't used it, and it's actually a natural base, if I'm not mistaken. Pentylene glycol. It actually is very versatile. So it has humectant benefits to solvents. Anyways, I digress. Sky said, "Hi, thank you for this informative content. How about using Luicidal SF Max at highest percentage with anticide or propindale in a surfactant-based product or a lotion?" You can if you're pairing it with anticide. Yeah, you can if you're using the two together, but I would say with Luicidal, try to, I don't know what, if you're using it in a lotion, I would say try to keep the pH either under 5, like maybe 4.5, between 4.5 and just slightly under 5. The problem is you have to make sure you have an emulsifying wax that is in that pH. And I think a lot of the emulsifying waxes I see, I don't know, I've used maybe 2 that maybe say 5, pH of 5 and above. The reason being that Luicidal, especially a lot of natural preservatives, especially Luicidal, because it's known to fail, because it has been known to fail. Let me not say it always fails. You want to, there are things you need to do. It's called huddle technology. I might do a video on that, or I might do a post in the community or something. Just keep the pH as low as you can, meaning I would say 4.5 to under 5 if you're using it in a lotion. Luicidal works very well. I would say if you have a rinse off product, I wouldn't worry. Like you said, the surfactant based product, maybe you're making a cleanser, shampoo, facial wash, whatever. Luicidal will be fine if you keep it in a reasonable pH. I wouldn't use Luicidal and make my pH 5.5. I would keep it like under 5. And yeah, but yeah, you can. Sky said, I've seen one big brand claim they only use this preservative. Yes, you're very correct. I've seen 2, and I don't want to call their names, but I've seen 2, and that's all they have. They actually use Luicidal SF Complete. They don't use SF Max. So for me personally, if you can get Luicidal SF Complete, That's what I recommend you buy. I don't know if you have that available, but that would be your best option. If you can purchase that, that saves you having to mix, because you would probably have to do something like 4% SF max, then I think 2% amticide, and you can just buy Luicidal SF complete. I think it ends up being cheaper, because that's what I used to do before. I used to buy it separately, but the thing is, some online suppliers don't carry it. Okay, so let's see. So if your emulsion, okay, so we talked about preservatives. I put my preservative suggestions. Mixing. If you can get like a stera, if you're someone like, for me, honestly, I can't even lie. I can only do so much with my right shoulder. Like after a while, my right shoulder starts killing me. So I started using, I have like two things. I can link them if you're interested. I have like an overhead stirrer, but it's a small one. And then I have a magnetic stirrer. So for like mixing my ingredients, especially when I've added my preservative, I just throw it on there and it just mixes it for a few minutes. So take the time, mix your preservative into your mixture, whatever phase you're in, for a few minutes. And if you don't want to, I don't recommend doing it by hand. It's not going, I would just say, if you really want to take formulating seriously, I know, yeah, these things add up, ingredients are adding, or expensive, but I would say have the proper tools, because you're going to save money in the long run, because you're going to save money not having failed batches where you have to make it again. So I would say, if you can invest, if you can, I would say you're making your small batches at home. A magnetic stirrer is not expensive at all. You can see some for under $50. If you see yourself making a bit more, where you maybe want to gift to people, or you're selling on the side, I don't know, if you can probably get a smaller overhead stirrer. I bought mine a few years ago, so I don't know, but there are different ones. You can probably see some. I don't know, but yeah. So something to help you mix. And then if you're making emulsions and creams, you need an immersion blender. Those are so inexpensive. If you just shopped Amazon Prime Day, there was one I saw. I was like, man, I almost bought it, but I was like, I don't need it. I have my immersion blender has been I've put it through the ringer, and I've had it over 3 years now, and it still works fine. So equipment, use the right tools, take your time, mix, 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 mix. That's what I rarely have anything that fails. So mixing correctly, adding in the proper phase, using a preservative that's compatible for your product, using it, and also pH is a big thing with preservatives too. Follow the recommendation, like a lot of the Euxils, they'll tell you, oh, it can work. I think Euxil PE90, I think they say it works. I don't know if I'm not mixing them up. Sometimes I get them mixed up. There are some that'll tell you this preservative works up to a pH of maybe 12. I'm not sure why you need anything that high, but they always have a fine print where they say, but it's best used in this pH range. That's what your guide should be. Sorry, guys, allergies. I'm not sick. Sorry, I'm sniffing. So follow the pH recommendation for your product. And I'm going to share what I do. If you want to stability test your lotions and creams, that's the one that I've noticed. I've gotten the most questions where it's failed. Okay, sorry, Andrea. I have a question that may be off script. I see a lot of formulators making products for a client, and they don't. Oh god, and they don't have on gloves, and just not using GMP, good manufacturing practice. They jar it. Don't they have to send for testing? Well, I don't know those companies. I know that for me personally, anything that I ever sold that was water based. Right now, I don't carry anything water based, because a lot of the ingredients, like I said, ingredients are quite expensive. A lot of the stuff I was making that were like my serums, my toners, they were very expensive to make, because I was buying real premium ingredients. And then the jars, the bottles, glass, everything. So it was just too much. So, and I spent a lot of money testing. to test the microbial testing, checking for the preservative. So I as a business, I did it for my before I started selling. Some of the things, some of them took up to 6 months before I was able to sell those. So for me, that I've done those products, if I was still selling them and somebody's like, hey, I need it in a large batch production, then yes, I wouldn't resend it to for testing because I already tested it on a smaller scale. But yes, the GMP is a big one. I have seen the companies that follow real good. I saw a business recently on TikTok. I was so impressed, and I was really impressed. And they're from Nigeria. I was so proud. I said, "Oh my gosh, I only wish to get to that stage." They followed all the proper the production space. They had on their hair, their caps, mask, gloves. I was like, yes. But yes, Andrea, unfortunately, a lot of formulators don't and that's such a pet peeve for me because I am so OCD about just, I just can't. But yes, they should. But the good thing is they are not your guide, right? They're not your guideline, or they're not the ones that determines how you make your product. So they're not the example to follow. That's basically my point. They're not the example to follow. Some people say, oh, just make sure your hands are clean, you wash your hands. True. My hands are always dry. You can wash your hands 5 million times, but you're making products that are going out to people. So gloves are not expensive. Put your gloves on, cover your nose or your mask, put your mask on. I think the only time I don't have on a mask is when I'm labeling. Like if I have everything boxed up, like I have all my jars and everything has been poured in, sealed, then I take off my mask. Yeah. Exactly, Sky. Sky said, Andrea, I've seen some big brands on IG have gloves, and that's it. Very true. No hairnet, no face mask. Yep. 300K plus followers and doing that. That's what I'm saying. They're not the, they're not the, what's the word? There's something I'm looking for. They're not the, is it criteria? I don't even know what to say, but they're not the ones. That's not, if you look at them on Instagram and now say, oh, I'm making products to sell. Oh, I'm not going to put on a hairnet. I bought a product. I think this was years ago. I want to say maybe like 3 years ago, 2022, maybe. I bought a product. They were not a big brand though. They were like growing. They were getting there. And they had a body butter. I was like, oh, let me buy the body butter and everything because they literally were marketing. I was following their page. And I bought the product, and things happen. Don't get me wrong. Hopefully, I've never shipped anything to anyone and they said there was hair there because I'm so. If there was hair there, maybe it fell from my hands. I don't know, but not hair. Um, and it had hair. Like when I opened the body butter, it had like a little, just And these things happen. I mean, it happens. But if you know you're doing your best, then it's your best. But anyways, I don't want to I don't want this live to be so long. So emulsions, why some of emulsions fail? So what happens? You make your lotion, you make your cream, and then a few days later you see mold, fuzzies. What are some reasons why that happens? Most times I want to say most times it could be GMP, but then when I tell people it's your GMP, it might be your GMP, they say, no, my GMP is impeccable. Okay. Let's say your GMP is impeccable. Let's rule that out. Gold standard. Thank you, Sky. Gold standard. I was trying to find, I think that's what I was looking for, something standard. Yeah, something standard. Yeah. Gold standard. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, gold standard. So you insist that so your lotion, your cream, you made it, you're happy, it's perfect, the texture is beautiful. You're like, I just made the best lotion and cream in my life, in my formulating journey. Yay! You package it up, you put it somewhere, and then after a few days, you open it and you're like, ew, it has mold, it looks nasty. So let's troubleshoot. What could have gone wrong? What could have gone wrong with your lotion and cream? Why did your lotion and cream grow fuzzy hair? Trust me, I get this question. If I look through even videos I've done, they're like, oh, that is one question I get all the time. Thank you, Lori. Really enjoy your channel and formulas. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the heart emoji. Guys, don't forget to like this live. How many of you are here? You're 15 watching, only 5 likes. Can you at least like the live? It takes a lot of energy to talk. Trying to sip on my water. Like the live. Encourage me so I can keep doing more lives. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I'm trying to show up more here because honestly, I think this week was just a week where I've gotten some really good encouragement just from some of the messages, and then people that watch me on YouTube and then they end up purchasing products. Like, trust me, before I spend any of my money on something or someone's products, I'm like, it takes a lot to convince me. So when I see people, purchase my products and then I see where the traffic is from and it says YouTube, I'm like, oh, and I'm always touched because a lot of times these are people that, I don't see the name in live. Like, I'm having a live. Some names I kind of see. Hyacinth, most lives I see Hyacinth. But it's very nice. So thank you. If I haven't said thank you guys. And so my way of also giving back because trust me, it's not easy, and things are so expensive with ingredients. I looked at like just some prices. I was just like, how has this gone up so much just in the space of, so I'm trying to get you guys to not waste your money, basically, as I try and share as much as I can, guys. Yeah, Beth, I know it's not easy, but it's constant learning. It's a constant learning. I know Andrea said it makes her cringe. Someone making I can see nifty butter and rub her legs. God, stop. So someone said, okay, someone was making a body butter and they rubbed their legs with their gloves and they continued. Yeah, I know. I figured I knew what you meant. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's why I'm so picky. As much as I want to support, I try to support small businesses when I can. But I'm just very careful about what I purchase. Just yeah. Hi, Danny. A big hug from Brazil. A big hug from Texas. Thank you. Yeah, but so back to emulsions failing. And if you have any questions, just throw it in the comments. I'm answering questions as I go over this thing. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of things. Sometimes on TikTok, when I watch certain videos, I'm just like, I just don't know if it's just OCD, me being so extra, and I don't know. But listen, I'm just being honest. It doesn't take a lot to gross me out, so that's probably why too. So I get turned off real quickly when I see certain things. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a bit about stability testing for emulsions, even cosmetics, basically. So for lotions and creams, so we're trying to troubleshoot it. So your lotion and cream grew fuzzy hairs. You said your good manufacturing practice is good. Okay, so let's rule that out. So what else could be wrong? So you use the good. Let's say you use the good preservative. This is what somebody sent me one day. They said my lotion. What is it? My lotion failed, or what is it? And the reason, what did she say? No, she said my lotion stopped grew mold after a few days, and she doesn't know why. So I said, okay, what were your ingredients? What was in your lotion? And she said she had okra gel, like she extracted the gel from the okra plant. So I said, why did you use fresh okra? That's most likely why it may have failed. Well, that's the reason it failed. I'm not even going to be diplomatic. That's the reason it failed. Aloe vera gel, fresh aloe vera gel, no. So if you want to use, okay, so my tip is if you want to incorporate fresh ingredients, fresh herbs, you just want to make a product that is herbal based, I would say either you make your fresh ingredients as a hydrosol or a glyceride. And I'm not really going to go too much into that because there's so many videos you can watch on YouTube, or there are a lot. Humblebee and me did a very detailed video on glycerides. But that's one way you can incorporate fresh ingredients. It's going to be more stable in the finished product as opposed to just scooping aloe vera gel from the plant and throwing it into your lotion. It's going to grow mold. But if you make it as a glyceride of some sort, or I don't know about it as a hydrosol. I haven't done it as a hydrosol, but it's the same concept. With hydrosols, you can use fresh or dried. So that's one thing. If your lotion or cream has a lot of herbal powders and things, you're basically providing food for those bacterial things. And keep in mind that emulsions are much harder to preserve than rinse off products. That's what I've been told by the I just never remember her title, but she has a PhD. She's taught the formulating the preservative classes. I linked her video. I linked her. You have to pay for the video though, but she has a video on preservatives. And I think when I paid for the recording, I don't remember, but I think it was like maybe $50. I don't remember. It's been over 2 years, probably 3. But it's like a 2-hour video. She talks about preservatives, things to avoid, how emulsions are difficult to preserve, rinse off products, yada yada yada. And the reason why I had sent, when I used to make feminine washes, I had sent my feminine wash to test over a period of time, over like 4 or 5 months. And I used it, I made that feminine wash with lipocidal SF complete, and it passed. There was no issue. And the reason being that it was in a low pH and it was a rinse off product. And that's when she kind of sent me the explanation of, yeah, lipocidal is not her favorite preservative, but we kept it in a low pH and it's a rinse off product. If it's a moisturizer, lotion, and cream, that would not be her choice. So keep that in mind. pH plays a role. Make sure you're pH testing, adjusting the pH. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss any question. Let's see. Regina said, I'd love to send you a body butter that I've made to have your opinion. Unfortunately, you can send it. I can look at it, but I don't know if I have. So I can, but I don't make any guarantees because it gets to be a bit overwhelming. It gets to be a bit overwhelming. Like everyone tells me, oh, we'll just send this to you, no pressure. But then they start emailing me, oh, what did you think? And then it kind of makes me overwhelmed, and I'm already a bit overwhelmed right now. Hyacinth said Sumalisa. What does Sumalisa mean? Hyacinth, I don't know what that means. But yeah, so if you're making, let me see, I'm just double checking my notes. So I hope this is helping. I don't know, have you guys been making your emulsions and creams? Because I know that's one thing that I've gotten a lot. I want to open my other questions. And then I'll be done. I think so. Check out the list, the preservatives. No, it's not Sumalisa. It should be in the description box. I did. Hold on, let me check real quick. It's hopefully I didn't delete it. Let me see. It's right there. It's under Preservatives Ebooks. If you check the description box, it says preservative video from Sage Script Lab. They partnered with Nova Studio. Yeah, it's the very last in the description box. It's through Sage Script Lab. She has a video. I think it's like, I can't, don't quote me. I think it's about 2 hours if I remember. But it's very detailed. It's very, 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 very detailed. Oh, it's giving me the wrong. Trying to log into my thing. Separation. Okay, so Beth said, I'm trying with emulsions, but there's always a separation. You mind sharing what emulsifying wax you're using and at what percentage? So a lot of times with separation, what I've found, sometimes you might be using too much. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes the oil amount in the formula is too much for the emulsifying wax. Sometimes, not all the time, but Sometimes the emulsifying wax, a lot of them have a recommended oil amount. Like they may tell you, let's say olive oil might say don't use more than 25%. I've used olive oil at 30. I didn't have separation. No, no, no. Hold on. Did I have separation? I want to say I used it at maybe 30. I have to look at my phone. Maybe 30. Montanov 68. Montanov is a good one. Okay, I've used Montanov 202. Let me see. Montanov 68 is good, but I've only used it. I've used 202. I have another one. Let me see, because I don't know. I don't remember the thing at the top of my head. Yeah, a lot of times they're emulsifying wax, and then sometimes this is what I've noticed. Sometimes you might be stick blending. It looks like everything has mixed, and like, oh yeah, it's fine, but it really hasn't. You need to mix it. Sometimes that has been my case, but I caught it in time. Like it happened before everything was completely done. So I just mixed it some more. Let me see what the percentage is. So it says Montanov 68. It does best with a 25% oil phase. And they recommend adding a co-emulsifier like cetyl or cetyl alcohol. I'm just reading it from Lotion Crafter because I can't remember. I don't remember these things off the top of my head. It's not an emulsifying wax. And to be honest, when I use emulsifying waxes, I tend to stick to two, Olivem 1000 and Rita Moss SCG. I don't have the patience to be trying, I bought several. Okay, I like Montanov 202. And I like, oh gosh, what's the other one? If I remember, I'll put it, but I don't use it often. That's to tell you, but I liked it. I liked it in the finished product. So I don't know. What's EMW? Is it emulsifying wax? I don't know. What's EMW? Montanov at 6% should be more than enough. Oh, electric hand whisk. So this is what I've noticed. So the whisk. Is it the whisk that looks like like the whisk that looks like the beater? Like the mix, oh God, does anybody know what I mean? Like when you have the hand mixer and it has the like the egg, it looks like an egg beater. Is that what you're using? Because there's one that introduces a lot of air, the whisk itself, like the one that has the, oh my gosh, I wish I had it. All my things are all packed when I really don't want to have to bring them out. They're clean. I want to bring them out. The whisk, can you let me know, Beth? Because there's the hand mixer that looks like the more like I wish I don't have a picture or anything to show. What I've noticed, sometimes someone sent me a message saying that lotion ended up being very spongy. And I said, what did you use? They said they used like a whisk and they oh no, the milk frotter attachment. Mm-mm. No, that's not going to be the milk frotter attachment. The only time I use that is if I'm making a very small batch and I've already used my stick blender. Okay, so the egg beater whisk. So that's for Montanov, I would say use a stick blender. Use an immersion blender. Buy one. Those you could see some for $10-15. They're pretty decent. Yeah, I wouldn't use that one. I think the egg whisk one works best, like that bitter works best for polar wax. That's what I've seen it. I've seen people use that, but I would just honestly invest in an emulsion. If you plan on making emulsions, lotions, creams, just go ahead and buy a stick blender because they're so inexpensive. Unless you're trying to buy an industrial type, and it becomes expensive. Um, yeah, and then check your oils. I don't know what your formula is, but try not to do more than 25% of the oil. Or your oil should be maximum 25%. And then you can also try incorporating a co-emulsifier. So let's run this down. So don't use the frother. Don't use the frother. Don't use the frother. Yeah. Hyacinth, are you asking me if I make deodorants? Yeah, I think 2 or 3 on my channel. I think 2 or 3 that I can think of. I did a deodorant cream a few months ago, and I did a stick deodorant, I think last year. If you just type OC Natural deodorant, it should pull up the videos. Or to check the playlists. I try to group everything, but sometimes I don't remember, honestly. Yeah, I do. They're aluminum free. Yeah, so Beth, definitely try. Do you mind like trying those changes and then, you know, see how that goes? I mean, I'm trying to do a live every Friday, at least for the next month. I'm trying. We'll see. I'm trying to answer more questions as I can. Well, those are my tips. So, the funny thing, the very first time I made an emulsion, a lotion cream, I used emulsifying wax NF. I watched, I didn't even watch any video. I read Brambleberry. I read a lot of blog posts. I read a lot of For some reason, Brambleberry kept popping up. Brambleberry had a lot of posts on lotions. I don't think I even knew Humblebee and Me. I don't think I knew Marie then. Like, I didn't even know about her blog. I don't know if I saw her blog. I honestly don't remember. But I knew I wanted to make a lotion cream. I wanted to like challenge myself. I think Tara Lee had made. I think I had watched it. Yeah, I think I had watched on Tara Lee's channel. That yeah. But I wanted to read. I wanted to understand how. I didn't just want to watch a video and just copy the video. I wanted to read the ingredients, read the foundation. What is an emulsion? What makes it an emulsion? What are the ingredients that? That's what I was doing. So I just read a lot of different blogs, and I was already in my formulating blog then. I read her blog. So there was so much stuff. So when I wanted to write my formula, I said, oh my gosh, my brain was so overwhelmed. I said, what am I going to do? And I just started narrowing it down. I started off with the basic emulsifying wax, which was emulsifying wax NF. And then, oh, Andrea, no problem. I'm going to leave soon. I'm tired too. Andrea said, I have to leave. I must nap. I work 11 p to 7. You sound like you're a nurse. Thanks for your time. And I look forward. You are your typos, girl. Look forward to your next live and next video. Good night. I know you must be on your phone and the typos, the same thing. No worries. So if you guys have any other questions, post it now because I'm falling asleep too. I want to be like Andrea to take a nap. Yeah, definitely try Beth. But yeah, that's what I would suggest for the emulsions. Failing, use a good preservative. I would say if you can buy Uxil PE9010, just go on and buy it. If you can't and you're using a natural preservative like the Louicidal ones or any of the other natural ones, just pay attention to the pH. Make sure that the pH is adjusted and the pH is compatible with the emulsifying wax. Mixing. That's why I found an issue. Either not mixing enough or mixing with the wrong tool or instrument. And some emulsifying waxes, they kind of tell you. Let me to give you an example, so it's not just that I'm talking. Let's just say something like there are some emulsifying waxes. They'll tell you once the emulsion has formed, leave it alone. Don't keep mixing. I see some people they keep mixing, and the emulsion has formed. It's going to be fine. You just need to let it naturally just cool down on its own, and it's going to thicken up, and then you can add the rest. I'm trying to think of an emulsifying wax that I don't know what's going on with my things here. Just it's like frozen on my iPad. Maybe I'm not sure. Days you want all your tools, your things to work properly, they never do. So I would say just pay attention. I can't think of the the emulsifying wax that I've seen those directions where it tells you to like mix for a few minutes, then stop. So this is what I'll also say. If you're having like a spongy, why I'm also saying this, somebody asked me under my emulsified body butter video, they said, oh, after you've gotten it to this texture, can I whip it so that it's like a whipped body butter? No, you can't, because that's why it's an emulsion. If you make a thick cream, so emulsified body butter is all marketing. It's like, oh, make an emulsified body butter. It doesn't melt, like a traditional body butter. If you make the emulsified body butter, right, and you've already made it, it's thick, it's nice, leave it alone. Don't go whipping it to make it fluffier. You're going to destabilize it, number one, because that's not what the formula is. It's meant to be an emulsion. If you want a traditional whipped body butter, then you need to make it as a traditional whipped body butter. I think that was everything. I think somebody asked me, hold on, I'm just double check. I think that was all I had for preservatives. If you've not attended any of the lives, check the description box. I try to put everything that I can think of that helped me. Um, I think I linked some books. Those are not my books. I linked Institute of Personal Care Science. I still promote them, even though I had a horrible experience with them, but their books are top notch. So I'm not going to take away from them. So I always link their books. I mean, if you look at it and you decide it's something you want, great. I have 3 of their books, and I'm very satisfied with the books. Um, and then I think I linked the main formulating blog. I actually need to move it to the front. Sorry. I always recommend Swiftcraft Monkey blog. So just basically take a look at the description box. I'm just moving some things around now. Everything is there. All the resources is there. They're there. Preservative ebooks. The funny thing is, I didn't even link any of my stuff. Okay, I think I linked my own class. I linked my class, but I didn't even link any of my books. Anyways, check the description box. A lot of those resources are there, and then you can see what what works for you. But if you have no more questions, I think that was everything. I think I answered everybody's question. Hopefully, I'll have another one next week if I can. That's my goal. But I think I got everyone. Thank you guys for joining the live. I'm just double checking the notes to see if I missed anyone. But I think I got everyone. And if you have any questions about the equipment tools, just shoot me an email. I do have a Patreon, Pamela. You don't be checking the description box. I put everything in the description box of my videos. I just don't say it a lot when I do a video, because I don't want to. I was saying it a lot, like, "Hey, join my Patreon," but a lot of people were joining, and it wasn't really helping me in any way. So I stopped, shouting it from the rooftops. But I do have a Patreon. Okay, I think I answered everything. I think I did. If I think of anything, sometimes I pin a comment in the I pin a post or comment. I pin a comment if I think of anything. But I think that was everything. I just really wanted to go over the preservatives and a lot of it is there. And unfortunately, thanks, Regina. Just check the description box. And a lot of times, I say this every time. All the videos that I've done from June of 2023 to 2025, June of 2023 to 2025, present day, all the formulas are always in the video. So June of 2023 to present day, I always put the formulas, except if it's a business formula where I put, okay, if you really want the formula, then here's the link. But 98%, the formula is in the video. Unfortunately, a lot of times people don't watch the video. They just ask, where's the formula? It's in the videos at the end. So definitely check the description box. I always put all my resources, everything I try to. But thank you guys for joining the live. And yeah, you're welcome, Regina. Thank you, Danny. Pamela said she'll join tonight. Don't join as a free member. If you join as a free member, I'll delete you now. Just play. A lot of times, that's what happened. See, Patreon messed things up for us creators. They used to have Patreon only as a paid option, where you could only join someone's Patreon, but you had to pay. But now they made it where you can join as a free member, but then you can't access anything. So it really throws you off your member count, because it might tell you have 1,000 members, and maybe let's just say I've seen where maybe 50 people are paying. I follow another creator. I'm like, what? And then I ask, why are you joining the Patreon if you're not going to support the person? So that's why I don't really mention it, because it was just messing with my mental health. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you just see like join, 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 join. I'm like, why? Anyways, that's why I don't talk about it. But anyways, guys, thank you guys. Thank you, Beth, for the heart emoji. Thank you guys. I'll see you, God willing. I'm not making any promises. I'm trying. I'm trying to motivate myself to, like I said, and I will see you guys hopefully in Sunday's video. I pray it's going to be up Sunday. And oh, Bethany, if you're from Michigan, oh, I like your really smiley emojis. Okay. Well, good night, guys. And sorry for the communication issues. Now I know to not mix up my things. But thank you, guys. I'll see you soon, sooner rather than later. All right. Bye, guys. See y'all. Bye.